All right, so I did ketamine the other day, and it was the first time I've ever done it, and I want to talk about that. So it was interesting because I took LSD at like 10 o'clock at night. Then like 10 o'clock in the morning, it was really like 9:45 ish, right? But I then took the ketamine. Now, I only did little small key bumps. Like, I didn't weigh it, but it probably like 15, 20 milligrams um, doses. And I remember just doing probably like 15 milligrams. I laid back on my couch and I was watching One Piece, and it started sounding like everything was farther away. Um, but I felt like an immediate relaxation in my body where it felt so like after the trip that I had, it was kind of just great to have the thing from the ketamine. So as I was laying on the couch watching this, I was watching it for about 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Then I did another like 15 milligram or 20 milligram key bump. Um, then I went to my friend Phi's house, okay? So they had a trip. So they were also like at the end of their trip. And I was talking to them and I had the ketamine with me. And, they had some too, but like we was just talking for a while, and then our other friend left, and then it was just me and my friend Phi and his wife, and we was all just talking, chilling, vibing, um, smoked a little weed, and then probably I don't know if it was like noon or maybe later, 2 in the afternoon. I don't know when exactly, but we all went to do the ketamine. Now this is the funny thing is he went to weigh it and he said it was going to be 35 milligrams. And I was like, I don't really, it doesn't really matter to me. After this experience, now I'm going to say this now, but we didn't know this until after, like days later, that it was not 35 milligrams and it was at least 50 to 75 milligrams, so like each. So we all had this line. Like I knew it looked fishy. I didn't really care, right? Um, I just knew it looked fishy because it looked kind of big. Um, so then we all individually do our line, and then we lay back. My friend Phi, he does this with tripping in general, like taking LSD. But so he made a playlist for the ketamine, and it was this music, and it was like calm, digital, like calming music. And as that music was playing, like while we did this, so we all lay down, he lays down, I lay down on his floor, and in like this like area on his thing. It looks kind of like a meditation thing. It has pillows similar to this, right? Like kind of like this. So I went and took a pillow that's very similar to that, and I ended up like putting that on the floor, laying directly on the carpet on the floor, staring directly at the ceiling. And the ceiling was a white ceiling, and it had like things on it, like little dot things or whatever. So as I was laying there staring at the white ceiling, I felt the ketamine thing, but I'll never forget that shit because I was laying there and it felt nice. Like, and ketamine's interesting because you just feel like, oh man, it's fine. Like, you just feel like everything is fine, everything is okay. Like, you could be having a bad time, or you could be going through such a crazy experience on the ketamine, like visually, and this whole shit could be happening, but yet you're like, yeah, I'm fine. But if you went through something visually like that on mushrooms, you would be like, no, like, you have the ability to not be fine. But on ketamine, it literally felt like you didn't really have the ability to not be fine. It was interesting because it kind of reminded me of DMT. Not the visual part, but the fact that DMT works better if you let go, and if you fight it, it's very uncomfortable. So, letting go to the ketamine was like the only way to go, because as I was sitting up, like I was kind of sitting up meditation style, and I was just sitting there, but then it got so heavy, I felt like I had to lay back. So then I immediately knew it was about to hit me. So I'm just kind of looked a little, probably a little frantic, because I'm like, yo, where's the pillow? What am I going to do? And then I was like, I just grabbed the pillow, laid down, stared at the ceiling. And I must have stared there the whole, like for a whole hour. Like we were stuck there for an hour. So an hour, me and my friend Phi were just staring directly at the ceiling. His wife was like petting her cat and like kind of chilling with the cat. But me and Phi were doing the same exact thing. Laying there, dead silent, not moving an inch, completely just staring at the ceiling. The ceiling then started turning into shit, okay? So it's like it was like there was slight colors or slight something, but ever so slightly, but it's like it was intertwined into what I was seeing in the ceiling, where the ceiling then became like I seen, like it looked like I was looking from an aerial view of mountaintops, but from the ceiling perspective. So like if the mountaintops were like on the ceiling, and then it's like I went into the thing and I could see the mountaintops, and it was like the snow mountaintops because the ceiling was white. But then it would switch and it would change with the music. So when a music thing would make a digital whatever the fuck, you could see it. Like it affected what I was seeing. It was making it switch and change as it was going. So as I was just staring at the thing, it started turning into like this pattern, kind of like a checkered board pattern, but it wasn't. They weren't square. They were some weird pattern, but it continued like a checkerboard, and it went on because I was staring at the ceiling and I was just stuck. So it's like the view was just this white thing that was turning into all these things. And the whole time it was so peaceful, so beautiful, so like it was the most, it's like all the weight was lifted off my shoulders. It's like everything, whatever. When in the beginning, when it first hit, when I was trying to fight it, trying to sit up, it's like I started feeling nauseous because I ate a little bit when I was home. I started feeling just a little uncomfortable. But as soon as I let go to it and just let it do what it was doing and I let it take me, I just sit there and laid there and went through that experience. And it's so crazy because people say that psychedelics are hard to explain, but I've experienced a lot of psychedelics and I've now experienced ketamine, and I would say ketamine is harder to explain than any psychedelic I've ever done. Because it's not just that there was mountaintops and I'm seeing the thing turn into patterns. It kept flashing like into this thing, and it was almost like it wasn't the same type of visuals you see on psychedelics. It was more like the type of shit you would see in your imagination, or the way the imagination works, where like, or like even sometimes in a dream you could be at your mom's house in a dream, and then you could walk through the door, like go into the kitchen, and then you end up in your house, and then you could flash you're somewhere else in a car somewhere, and then like the imagination like can flash. Or like right now, if I said imagine a red car, like you can imagine a red car, but imagine that thing is amplified to be the most visual you can imagine a red car, and it's so there that you can't explain it. um and put that on the outside, but with things you don't really have control over, but with things the music somewhat had control over. Like the music would then change what I was seeing, and it just kept getting deeper into it. And every single song would produce this thing, and it almost reminded me of back in the day when you would have music players on a computer, and the music player you could set up the visual thing where these visual things would set up this thing that would go with the music. It was like that as well, but not like that. Like it was like that, but it wasn't like that. It was like the imagination, but it wasn't. It was like um having your imagination plastered on the ceiling, like a projector screen is on the ceiling. um but it wasn't. Like that's what I mean by it's so hard to explain, because it's like I don't know. Yeah, it was definitely a beautiful experience. It was so peaceful, and the whole light dose of it, like I can see what people mean where they say light doses are like a trippy alcohol, and high doses can become like a psychedelic. And me and Fi and his wife, we did it like I would say that was a medium dose, getting close to a high dose. Like, see, I wouldn't say that was a K hole, but it was close to a K hole, and it was close enough where I seen the psychedelic aspect of it, and that's the thing that I like. Um, I don't like the lower doses. So, like, as I was exploring with the lower doses, like 15, 20 milligrams, just little small key bumps here or there, you feel relaxed, you feel nice, you feel this, but I don't give a fuck about feeling nice. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but, like, that's just not what I'm looking for. My whole point of why I even wanted to try ketamine was the psychedelic aspect of it, or the psychedelic like aspect of it, because it's technically a dissociative and it works on the NMDA receptors. So it's completely different than psychedelics, but it was so interesting, so weird and strange. I could feel that it was completely synthetic. Like you can, like at least I can. I could feel that, just like I can feel when like if I take a molecule, I could feel whether it's a natural molecule or not. I can feel it. It has synthetic molecules have a feeling to them. Like I've taken things that relax me in a very similar way that ketamine does, but that were natural, and I've also taken ketamine at low doses, and I can see that it's just weird, and you feel there's a strangeness to it that you feel. Like with the mushroom, there's an alienness that you feel, but like alien. But with this, it was like a strangeness, like a weird thing, and I actually didn't like it. So I will end up doing this again with my friend Fi. And like I'm fine with exploring this shit with him for a while. So like but I don't think that I'll be doing the lower doses again because it wasn't what I need in my life. I don't need more things that make me relaxed. Like I already have the things that make me relaxed. Um because like when I'm sober, I'm just naturally kind of hyper. Um but I use that energy. And I don't want to add something into the regimen that's like gonna take that energy away in a way that I don't want it to. Um, but the high doses of it, I'm down for. And I did see why people use it for therapy. Like ketamine is legal, like more legal than any other psychedelic I've done, to the point where you can actually go to a therapist and get ketamine. Like I got advertised on social media. This I think it was called. No, I'm not gonna say their name, but like it's this company that does ketamine therapy, and I could see why, because even though I was already happy, right? I was already fine before I did the ketamine, but I was extra happy. Like there was a no matter what you do, it leaves a afterglow of happiness and relief for a while. Like for a while you feel just everything's fine. That thing lingers on even after like days, maybe even like a week after after you did the ketamine. So that's an interesting thing. And I can see that it's just interesting, and the higher doses interest me because I've heard people talk about they met aliens or whatever. And that's another thing before I leave. My friend Phi, I, I don't know much about his experience, but he was telling me that he was also seeing that same thing and how the music also affected his thing. But he said that he seen angels. And then after the experience, we got to talking about angel dust, which is PCP, because that's why PCP is nicknamed angel dust. There's a lot of reports of people talking and seeing angels. And PCP and ketamine both attach to the NMDA receptors. So they're accessing a similar thing. They're accessing, I guess you can call it, the same world. Just like tryptamines all access the tryptamine world from different perspectives. I would say that all dissociatives would do the same thing with their thing. And the fact that he's seeing angels when we only took 50 to 75 milligrams um, really speaks to the thing that there's something deep about this thing. Like, but it's not something like. I'm down to explore because I love to explore consciousness and whatever. But I'm not interested in it, and it didn't vibe with me the same way that all the other shit I've done has vibed with me. So, yeah.